We good now? All right. For the first time tonight, we will call the meeting to order. Any citizens' input? One of these days. Any delegations? Additions or deletions to the agenda? That's a new one. Oh, no, that's just our last month's. Obviously, Angel didn't type this. So, motion to approve our minutes from our last, well, no.
It is the agenda, I put that on there. Because we approve our agenda, but we've never got a list to approve.
That's new. See, I caught that.
You did.
Yeah. So any additions or deletions to the agenda? All right. We'll go on to number 5. We're cruising, Dan. Approve the minutes from our last meeting.
So
Terry, Lynette, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. The minutes are hereby approved. Financial reports.
On the cemetery bills, about the only thing out of the ordinary is the payment for the digital cemetery. Other than that, the cemetery bills are pretty much normal stuff. Oh, shoot, I skipped over revenue and
that's okay.
sorry about that, Kevin. As far as revenue for the cemetery, slightly ahead of last year, kind of heading towards that budget. We'll probably won't quite make it this year for revenue on the cemetery side, but it's all dependent on how this month goes. There is some in November that is not in yet also, so. As far as expenses, really don't see anything else going over budget. Everything should balance out in the end for what our budgeted expenses were. Any questions on the cemetery financials?
Nope.
Golf course financials.
What do you want first?
The revenue expense. As you can see, on revenue, we're 682,843. Should be fairly close to 700 when we're all said and done, but and this is end of November, so.
Not sure where this is at, but if we're talking financials, if we budgeted 494 for the golf course last year and we took in 670, that means we had 176,000 extra this year over budget. I'm assuming the rest of the expenses, I didn't look at expenses over, but we just don't want it to be, so the city decides to take 160,000. So I have no idea of reserves. That just really stick me hard. And you got to put your budget in before you know how your year is. It's just totally messes up a golf course budget because you don't know what you're going to take in. When you made your budget, you're a year away. But now when you got extra, I don't see our reserves on here. I can't find it. I was looking all over for it.
I was going to
Stephanie
ask.
did not return my text.
It's not on any of the,
It's not on there?
no,
You know what we have?
no, I'd have to look it
Approximately?
up. 400,
What's that?
400
And then that's in reserve.
in our
And
cash.
that includes 176.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's up to date, okay?
yeah.
And,
But we have a lot of expenses going out over the winter, so before the golf season starts, we'll be whittling that down.
Because there's no revenue for the next 5 months.
Little.
yeah, it's still a
revenue.
lot better than it used to be, now you pay, it used to be zero, now they pay.
Fund pass with monthly, yeah.
Or at least,
How much will it take to get through the winter?
I figured that out about a year ago. I want to say it was around 100,000.
For expenses?
But if you take revenue and expenses,
I
don't
think revenue
don't
also.
quote me on that,
Yep.
but I want to say that's what I figured out a couple years ago. But typically, we'll bring in 10 to 15,000 even in November, December, January, February. Over the last couple years.
Well, let's just say that's 300 we got left. I didn't go back to look at the old days of how much they normally. I just don't want to get in a situation that you say you're an enterprise fund and you use it for the balance of budget. You're getting equipment.
The only way I foresee anything coming out of there is if we have a big project, or we do help pay for equipment. That's really the only reason why we should spend that down, just simply for the fact of what we're budgeting for revenue should cover our equipment costs as far as our package that we're getting. If we do monthly or yearly payments on that, like we had planned on, our budget should cover that. It shouldn't come out of our cash. So the only way it should come out of there is if we're doing a project.
Just a year ago when I was going to this, when they took the money, I did some research and I thought it was 54,000 at that time estimated we could save on interest if we paid for it up front.
So I got a recent quote on that. It's about 35.
And I didn't know the rate, at that time the rate
Yep.
was high. And,
Yep. Yep, so I just checked on that because we're getting close to receiving the equipment. If we do the 5-year, it's going to be 35,000 over the 5 years in
So-
interest.
With that being said, wouldn't we be better off paying for it all up front if we have it? Just make the 35,000? Kind of where I'm going with this.
There'd have to be a balance because, we don't want to go too low and then if we have a bad year, because that's part of why we did it is for that cash flow.
Bottom line is, you're gonna save 35,000.
I
5
agree.
years, right?
I
4
totally,
years or 5?
5 years,
And what's the balloon at the end, do you remember?
nothing. That's or $1,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, Dan, my concern would be, here we show this profit, if we don't use it, the city's gonna take it.
I don't think so anymore. That
You
was
don't think
just,
so?
I can't guarantee, because I bought like that last time they took it, so. And you can say they owe us 160,000, I think it got dropped to 140 because of that golf cart fiasco, which I think in a way, we still owe for that somewhere.
I think that was the money that was over on the, over budget on the project. That was,
Correct.
because we came back to them for that, and they said,
And
that's
it
what,
went unanimous, which Mike said, no, he didn't vote that way, but I had it down and he did. And I called every one of them, and they all said when they give them the money, they thought it was coming out of the general. And then when the mayor switched it, then all of a sudden, he took 100, without even, if you were page 15, bottom right corner, section K, it was there. But, if you're not an accountant, you can see it, find it. And I think maybe Jeff, maybe, I don't know if you brought it up, how it came about finding it, don't matter. And then, even though they all said, and I went into that meeting, I had the 5 votes, and didn't even get a second. But don't want that to happen again. I don't think it will. Anyway, you answered my questions, something I think we should keep talking about.
yep, I agree.
It's a huge figure. save.
And I think it's safe to say with the track we've been on with expenses end of the year, start of the new year, we're putting away over 100,000 a year in cash over the last 3 years for sure.
Sorry. Except for this last year because of the big project.
Right.
So
But that
if
aside-
you're excluding any major capital, yes, over the last couple of years, in that range, yes.
Right.
Answer all my questions.
Anything else on revenue for golf course? About the only thing that's really going to change yet is the electric cart storage fees. Those are still coming in. The reason for that, I think we've said it before, but we don't bill those till October, or Eric doesn't bill until October, so that's why they come in this time of year. And they're for next year, so.
One more thing, we should change the adult green fees to green fees. It's just way back even when I started, they tracked all the green fees. I know it's all put together. It's just a verbiage. But they used to have split juniors, everything was separate. They went to all one. It's just that you can see the splits on it were 0. And it just needs to take, somebody's looking at it. It just needs to be green fees. Is that right, Eric? That's what I thought.
And I think it needs to stay on there because it was a record that was once recorded. So if somebody went back in that line and looked at it, there's still a split.
Oh,
You lost me on that. What was that?
historically?
Right, so history-wise, it needs to show record that it's there yet, because otherwise somebody goes back those years and all of a sudden that line doesn't exist anymore. But it does now exist when you go backward to look for it. There's something underneath that line.
We don't have the juniors and the other stuff that used to be on there.
But the number would still stay the same though, wouldn't it? The
It's all
account number?
compiled right now, but before, it used to be on the other line, some of the revenue, is what you're saying?
There used to be 4 or 5 lines. Yeah.
Then it
What
is-
else do we have, Eric? There was a junior membership.
Yeah, I don't
Did you ever have that when you were on here?
The adult 9 to 18 split, I've never had a dollar amount in there, it hasn't been
We used,
since my time.
so when they come, the 18 split, somebody, they use a punch card, and then they want to pay for the back 9, that's what the 18 split is.
So I-
And they used to have a department on it, now they just combined it all, probably when I was on there then. Yeah,
It just needs to be just green.
It's not a
fees
big
or
deal.
daily fees, but everybody knows what it is.
That's it.
I don't know the bills, Dave.
Yep. So on bills, nothing. There's some miscellaneous stuff from Dunick Brothers. That was purchasing some of the extra materials when they left. Sand, Eric's payment. Everything's pretty straightforward.
Pretty minimal.
We might need that $300,000 if we can't find water.
There'd be 2 full years, we were gonna have to start doing water.
So unless somebody has questions on the bills.
I think we're good. Need a motion to approve our financials.
So moved.
Joel? And Lynette? Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. They are approved. Clubhouse report. Eric?
Closed up, as you all know, so I'm kind of on vacation to an extent. Did Christmas sale here this weekend, I'll do it next weekend. Not much activity this last weekend, but I did get some calls today for some gift certificates. I told them to come down this weekend for that. Other than that, when I am out there, just miscellaneous stuff, cleaning up, not a whole lot of anything. You can read the report that's there. I'll have a scheduled events, another one printed out next meeting, just I've gotten a few more calls just from some tea time ones and stuff already for next September, so I'm just trying to keep up on the events and get those all in and balanced for next year.
Dan, did you see that round total? Shit.
I knew that, you thought about 2 months ago, it was gonna be about 30, might get 36,000. And you had a nice fall, that's just.
October. October is probably one of the best months, I don't know, year to date or from prior years, but I mean, just weather-wise, it was great. Then you get into November, we had 218 rounds in November, but we had, I think, one good weekend in November where there was over 50 rounds, but you get into November, there's just not the play that not many people are coming out to.
I rode with the guy that manages the Keene Park, Prairie Green, and Elmwood in Sioux Falls, and they did 120,000 rounds between the 3 golf courses this year.
Which course?
The 3 city courses. Yep.
And we got about 1/3 of it for one course.
And those are which ones?
Keene Park, Prairie Green, and Elmwood. So Keene Park's a par 3, but Elmwood's actually got 27, so just in comparison, I think we're keeping pace with them, so.
And when I seen Spring Creek came up for sale, they were talking at 20,000 rounds yet. I was totally amazed, they talked about everything being so busy, and Spring Creek ain't involved in either one, Great Lake or City. That they didn't do more than that.
But they're, not the way out the country, but they're out there.
They're out their ways. Yeah.
Well, now that we're at the end, how did the golf course weather those additional 12,000 rounds this year?
I thought pretty good. I mean, yeah, the tees and stuff are beat up probably a little more, but I think I said at another meeting is I was doing a little more inputs to them to compensate for that. But if I wouldn't have done those extra inputs, they definitely would have, the par 3s would have been tore to nothing. And they're beat up pretty good. But that's what it takes. If you're going to have more rounds, it just takes more inputs. The main thing that I saw that took the beating was coming off the cart pass, up by the tee boxes, and which we've been trying to keep people away from. Or once they get past the tee boxes, they're cutting in at the same spots. That's the biggest probably that I've noticed. So,
I can see that.
and that's just trying to get people to realize it and do their part. If we can do some extra things and extra inputs and people help out with that a little bit by monitoring themselves and going a little bit above and beyond themselves, I think we can handle it. But we also don't want it to become like some of the courses in Sioux Falls where they're beat to nothing. So,
You could tell when I told Jason this, we're putting away carts. I mean, we had probably 6, 7 carts that we need to look at. Carts just get beat up. The rental carts get beat up more and more with more wear and tear on
Well, that's,
those.
That's-
And rotation 7 years?
Yeah,
we were, I think we were almost 9 by the time we got this last fleet.
And that last fleet, I mean, it wasn't near as busy and near as much usage of them now.
I don't think we were that far into them on the other Yamahas, because that deal became available ahead of schedule.
Our previous fleet were purchased in 2013, and I think 2022 is when we got them.
Yeah.
That was partway through 2022, but,
It was that long.
yep. Because when we first did propose that and everything, yeah, we would have been about 7 years, 6 or 7 years, but by the time we got them.
Yeah, that's right, because of
Yeah.
COVID.
That's right. Yeah.
As long as we're on the superintendent report, Jason, did Dunning have some bad seed or am I out in the cold here? I walked out there this weekend, you know, I was following the tee boxes grow in. And the green was, you couldn't get any better.
No.
And I seen the tee boxes work on. And then I just walked this weekend out the grass on the par 3. And it's, every time you get old seed, it don't germinate. And that's what it looks like to me. What do you,
Part of it was the soil.
what's what?
The soil, so,
Where they laid sod, it's perfect.
yep. But when you're dealing with seed, it's gonna take that little extra. I'm not saying it's not possible that part of it was seed.
I'm 100% sure that that's old seed.
Yep, but I did some digging in those T-tops, and it wasn't right, and they know that, and they're planning on coming back to fix that.
What are they gonna fix?
So they're gonna dig some out, or depending on from tee to tee, and then we're gonna re-till it and put extra material in it.
They're gonna put us half a year behind.
Well, if we need to, they're gonna sod it.
What
So,
about the par 3? It's the same seed, it looks like, but the tees and the
Yep.
par 3 be the same?
Yep.
They used a different grade.
everything was the same. The fairways and the tees were the same seed.
Not good, is it? Par 3's horrible. And then where it wasn't irrigated, there isn't, it's all dirt.
Well, there wasn't 100% irrigated on some of that right side. So, and then we had some washouts in a couple spots, so they did reseed that, so that's a little behind,
And all that.
so.
When it goes bad, it goes bad.
Yep. Yeah, it's just gonna be a process, and I'll push it harder and harder with fertilizer to get it to pop. We did dormant seed all of the fairways, all the tees, and
The
most,
tees that were dirt,
yeah, I went over everything just to,
but their seed,
yeah,
put more old seed on.
so.
I've had dealings with old seed, and that's what happened. And I never knew that until I had dealings with it. But,
So.
you know, it's a bad dealing.
Joel?
Yeah, I want to go back to the rounds played. Where were we at in 2022, do you know? Rounds played?
I don't know, I'd have to look back on.
Like, were we up in 2023 from 2022? Like, do you at least know that,
It was
like
20
historically?
From 20, I'm pretty sure at 22,000 or 23,000 in 2022, and then we went up to 25,000 in 2023. and now
So we've
this.
continued to trend up, like that's, okay, yeah, I don't care about like numbers. Okay.
I think
Before
it's,
COVID, we were kind of even keeled, and once COVID hit, it was a little bit of a spike, then each year it's just been spiking even more.
Yeah, because you brought it up before I had a chance to ask about it, but I was gonna ask about golf course, carts, and how much of a hit we took on those this year, like in terms of like maintenance and those sorts of things, because I'm concerned with our infrastructure on the course, both with our golf carts, but also the physical health of the course as well too. Because like when I looked at this report today before we came here, 25,000 rounds in 2023 to 37,000 rounds this year. You think about that on a par 3, that's 12,000 extra divots in your par 3 tee boxes. And for us hackers, even if 50% of us hit the green, right, that's 6,000 more ball marks, like in our greens, right, that probably 25% of those are getting fixed, right? I mean, like, let's be real, right? So when we talk about all this extra revenue that we're bringing in and we're worried about, is the city going to take that money from us and what's going to happen with that? I would really, 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 really like the city council to see this and really take seriously pumping some of this money back into the golf course so that we can do some things with our infrastructure to take this pressure off of our golf course, like the course itself.
Actually, it got brought up, I brought it up, the last budget meeting about projects. And I used all the numbers, at that time I used 36,000. And, when they were talking about what to do, we're going to stick, I don't remember the figure. Kevin, you remember how much we're going to stick in the capital outlay?
I don't know.
6 million, 4 million, whatever it was. And so I brought up the golf course. And same thing, I was pushing the rounds, the play, the kids to get on a course. The par 3 is what I was pushing. And it never got brought up very good, never got talked about much. Kevin straightened me out if I missed something. But I says, we always go into, we got 500,000 out of 1.5 was going to be donated. And I think that number is correct. Yeah. 250 from the golf course, 250 from private funds. And I didn't, it was the discussion, but, because I said, same thing you just brought up, Joel, everything there. I didn't get very far.
Well, I mean, there was some that didn't even know that there was going to be in-kind money that was going to be thrown into that project, which
That's twice I brought it up, so, the city council should know.
I agree.
And because when it first come up, Stephanie, when I brought it up the first time, she kind of didn't remember that. And then she didn't remember the meeting, which I wasn't at, so then it got brought up that time. And I said, and that was in our first discussion. Then I brought it up again on this project, capital outlay funds going forward. So everybody in the council was informed at least twice.
Well, and it was in our minutes, in our meeting, because I even went back and looked after our last meeting, and it was in our minutes, that we had actually thrown a dollar amount that was out there. So if we're doing our due diligence and looking at the minutes of our subcommittees that are being appointed, it should have been seen from that as well too. But I'm even looking at like our range memberships that are up as well too. Like how much more can our range sustain as well too, right? So I'm even talking like our practice facilities, right? That we're turning over a pretty big profit every year, and our numbers are substantially going up every year. I would just really like to see like our backs continue to be scratched here a little bit. Like I think what we've got going so far is good, it's solid, but it's not going to do anything to alleviate the number of rounds that are being played on the course. If anything, it's going to increase the number of rounds that are being played on our course because people are going to come and they're going to want to play on that, which is great. It's fantastic. But I don't know what's going to happen now, since that initiated measure, failed. But what at the last meeting we were told that, some of the items that were taken out of our budget was like money to rebuild tee boxes. Like, was that one of the things that was taken out?
I don't remember what that item was, but we talked about it at the last meeting.
So
it
it
had
was,
something to do with tee boxes, leveling tee boxes.
so everything I had put in was all lumped together,
Yep.
and then that all got taken out, so.
Right. So, like, things that were going to help us, and I understand, right? Like, I understand that, right? They're like things that were going to better the golf course, that infrastructure to help us better sustain the golf course, were not only taken out of the budget because we didn't know what was going to happen this initiated measure, but like I said, we're turning over these big profits, and we're increasing our number of people that are coming through our doors, but we're not getting much return on our investment that we're pushing forward, right? And I understand that the people who sit at these tables, I understand that they have more to do than just the golf course. It's a pretty big moneymaker for the city. And obviously, there's a number of good things that are happening out there. And for us to be able to sustain what's happening out there, we got to take care of our infrastructure. And we can't do very many more years of these numbers without us seeing a noticeable decrease in our product that we have out there, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Both in our golf carts, and like our physical golf course itself. It's just my feeling on that.
And that's one of the reasons last meeting I brought up with Jason, do you have enough staff? I
Right,
mean, that, you can cover a lot of issues with
absolutely.
staffing, and not just part-time, but full-time.
Absolutely, yep. Yeah, which everybody feels that pinch across town, right, with staffing.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Yeah, 100%, yep. Yep. But yeah, I was just wondering historically what we were looking like on numbers. I know that we were always increasing, and I don't want it down to the number, right, but.
It wasn't this big of an increase.
Yeah, that's huge, right? And now, hey, there's other factors that played into that 37,000, right, which may even itself out next year.
Well, we could up that too, if we do have a short course. When somebody comes out where we have a tournament that takes up 5-6 hours, instead of turning them away and they're leaving the premises, they could go play the short course, and that'd be another person that's staying at the golf course instead of they come out when we have a tournament, they can't play, they leave. Especially with the number of events we have too, but obviously then we have a whole nother, basically 27 holes, more holes to maintain and stuff too then.
We'll even look at the discussion that we had sitting in this room a year ago with the upcoming project. You know, even from the council, we're talking about, well, you guys don't know what you're going to have for revenue. We didn't know because of the projects. Are we going to lose people because of that? Well, there's your answer. And you all know the scuttlebutt about these new holes opening up. There's a new level of excitement out there with that happening, and the forward tees. And
Absolutely.
so I cannot see it regressing. You know, there may be some due to weather and stuff like that, but, you know, we weathered the first major project without any decrease whatsoever. In fact, we had 107, almost 180,000 extra of what we were budgeting. So I guess my question is, and I'm not ready to give up on this request, is what do we need to do, Dan, from the council's perspective? I know it got cut from the budget to resurrect this and get the interest back from the council and/or the administration to get this back on the table.
Good question. You know,
Do
I
I
brought
need
it
to
up on
come
the
to a
last.
council meeting and come give a talk about it?
No, that'd be, my personal opinion, that'd be not a good way.
Here's your 2022 rounds.
24,000, is that what it was?
Yep, there's 2021.
It's
Because
been,
ultimately, I mean, we know we need city help to continue the projects. I mean, we realize that. How do we get to the trough? We're bringing 500,000 with us. And I met with the mayor, 3 weeks ago or whatever, for about a half an hour, and we just had a discussion about the golf course. And, he brought up the budget requests, and I said, well, 500,000 of that's coming from us. And he acted like he didn't, that's the first he'd heard of that. And that's 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, whatever it's been. And so I don't know, so.
Look at the meeting and they.
No, I know.
Yeah, preached it. Could have been on his phone.
Well, no. Anyway, I mean, I don't know what we need to do to get it.
Doesn't show that the 500,000 is for sure. 'Cause they have the skin on the back or skin in the game, just so we do have skin in the game.
Well, I mean, I think those, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to go get committals from people on something that you don't have committal from on the
Mhm.
other end. So, I mean, if we have a commitment from the city to a certain amount, then that gives us the room to go do our fundraising. And, I mean, we can do that a year ahead of time. It doesn't have to be for this,
I think it gives us a clearer picture of what, because like we've talked about, like, hey, we've got how many phases, right? Well, can we mix this phase with this phase, and can we knock this out of this phase, but then do this instead, right? Like, it allows us to readjust our priorities, like, well, hey, let's do this for, the short par 3, but then also let's do this on the range too, right?
Right.
Like, it allows us to reprioritize, and maybe some of those people who are in on that extra 250, maybe they got some pet stuff that they really feel good about too, or maybe we bring something to them that really excites them.
Well, that was one of the
they-
reasons we brought in that short course, was
Right.
because of people like that, the interest that says, hey, you go down that route, I'd be willing to contribute.
Annette, what do you hear from the ladies as far as what they want to do? I'm assuming it's all positive on the new tee box.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna
They're
say.
excited for those to be done and ready. But as far as other things, the ladies don't really say a lot. Not to me. How about you, Eric?
Really, just that they love the forward tees.
Yeah.
Rock it out and play 'em, and we're having more fun playing forward. They just like the ladies that are avid just like to come out and play golf, basically. I mean, they're not, how do you want to say it, hard to work with, basically. I mean, they just want to enjoy it and come out. They really don't say much other than when those new forward tees were being built, they really enjoyed those. It was actual golf for them and not hitting 7 shots before they get to the green.
Well, it's same with my 13-year-old daughter, and same thing with her, right? So, I mean, you talk about junior golf and for the ladies and those things, right? I mean, golfing with my wife, it's the same thing. Shouldn't be hitting a driver off on a par 3. So like for her, it's a real thing. For my daughter, it's a real thing now, right? So I agree with you. Like, are we gonna do 42,000 rounds, whatever, next year? Like, I don't know, right? I have no idea. But are we gonna knock down the 22,000s again? I don't think so. Not with those new holes and with forward tees, and everything else, and just where we've been post-COVID. I don't see us going back that far. I don't see us regressing there. I don't see it, right? So, I don't know, but I mean, I just know that we can't continue to let the course take that beating at 35, 36,000 rounds a year with where we're at if we're not going to pump some money into it to tidy up our practice areas and give golfers an alternative of something else to do, short par 3. But now, again, we brought that up before, what's that going to do to Jason's staff? Do you have enough staff to even do what we're doing right now? And if we do a short par 3, how much more staff do you need to do that, right? So, I mean, there's a yin and a yang to that. And again, I want to make it clear, I know that the guys and gals who sit at this table, this is not their priority, right? They have how many other departments and how many other, I get it, right? But like I said, at the same time, we're increasing our numbers every single year. We're bringing in more money every single year. How many times do we talk about that building over there that we need to make it more profitable? We need to do those things. Well, we're doing it, right? We're doing it. So can we get our back scratched? That's what I'm asking. And we're coming to the table saying, we got $500,000 towards this project. What more would you like from us? That's what I'd like to know.
That's exactly right. And it's not the people that sit at this table on a Monday night, other than this. It's the council that, it's our responsibility to educate them and to make them interested. It's not their responsibility to come to us. So if we're lacking in that regard, we need to know that, we need to make it up. We need to make our sales pitch. I guess that's why I'm asking that. Is there something else we could be doing to?
And it's having meetings, it's keeping them informed, it's going to each councilman individually.
Yep.
And laying your line out. Otherwise, they get here, and, because I don't know how they could say that unless they just totally not listening twice.
Right.
And,
I get it. They get pulled in other directions. We're not the only people
Oh, yeah.
coming for cash. I mean, I get that part.
Totally get it.
So it's up
Yeah,
to,
but again, I mean, as I see it, it could be a lot worse. We could be 15,000 around begging for money from the city.
100%.
I mean, we're a good problem to have.
Yeah.
We got the money, but we just want a little money to keep the ball rolling.
Yep.
I mean, there's nobody else, there's no other department in the city of Mitchell that brings the money to the table like we do. Yes,
I
sir.
have no idea. Oh, it ain't the
I don't know what it would be.
campground. What else is- And I think they just took the Corn Palace off of enterprise fund. What else in the enterprise fund, Kevin? Campground, us, Corn Palace was.
Water and sewer is?
The what?
Yeah, we can't compete with them.
They got,
You're exactly.
How many acres do we have out there? 180. Okay, how many acres in Mitchell for city parks? And my next question is, of those city parks, how much money do they bring to the table?
Kevin will know that. Oh, how much money? Never much.
Quality of life.
Yeah, that's right.
Immeasurable.
You looking for something?
Immeasurable.
No, is this where you have your city council meeting?
It is.
Every other Monday night.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure, so,
Okay.
yeah. I live in town, so I just kind of curious how you conduct your meeting. And so I want to be in one of those meetings to hear, things, what you,
Next Monday at 6 o'clock.
next Monday at 6, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some things that I'm concerned about with this Genesis, what is it called? Genesis Farms medical marijuana deal. Yeah, I'm just kind of concerned about it,
Okay,
so,
we'll see you then.
and I'm praying that God will give wisdom to the leaders of our city, and
We all do.
yes, we need God, I tell you. We need God to intervene in every aspect of our lives, whether it's city government, state, or the national government.
You got it. Amen to that.
What we've seen this past few years, I tell you, we need God. In this country, as a nation, we need God. And God has given us another opportunity, I believe.
You can come next Monday and they have public opinion or public
Input time.
input. Hey, you can come in. Yes, you get 3 minutes. The next Monday at 6 o'clock.
Next Monday at 6, all right.
Thank you.
Sir. You all have a good evening.
Thank you.
I had a great point to follow up with yours. Yeah. It's in
Water
there.
and sewer.
I lost my thought here where we were at.
Water and sewer, quality of life,
Monopoly.
I know. The other aspect about this that nobody really talks about is that these are all capital requests. They're one-time deals. This isn't coming to the trough every single time or to buy mowers and seed and stuff like that. These are capital improvements that are there forever. And it's, I don't know, we got to somehow adjust our sales pitch, and I'm not sure. Well, I think Dan hit it on the head. I think you just got to go talk to your individual councilman and/or inform the golfers.
investing in a fee-based park.
Yeah, yeah.
That has a return on investment.
Exactly. All right. Anything else? Eric?
Unless there's any questions, comments, or anything for this winter or next year.
How's your staffing? You all right?
It'll be all right. I'll lose 3 or 4 before, or I've lost 3 or 4 this fall, but find new.
Keep up the good work finding your replacements, because I know it took you a while to get rid of Joel, and that really helped things.
Failing upward.
Was that out loud? Thanks, Eric. Jason, superintendent report.
My voice is kind of failing me, so I'll just let you guys.
How about we just look at it? and
Yep.
if you have
You
any
got questions, I'll answer.
Perfect.
Too much hooting and hollering at the state game this weekend?
I got a little bit of a cold.
Oh,
Yeah, cool.
Set in on Sunday after the game.
yeah, I got it. What's the Purple Wave? I saw that.
That's our auction site. So if we don't trade something in for city property, we have to go through Purple Wave. That's our avenue. It's just an auction site.
Gotcha.
You got less stuff that we're.
There's just some miscellaneous stuff, and then we're contemplating the stuff that for the equipment that I'm getting, if we don't think that, or if they're not gonna give us much for trade-in, we were contemplating throwing it on Purple Wave instead and seeing if we get more. So,
Something better now.
yeah, so. I think with what I'm trading in, that's 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. And then there's, like I said, there's just some miscellaneous stuff that's just been sitting around for years and we just aren't using it anymore. So just trying to clean up the yard and.
Anything else for Jason? Cemetery fee discussion.
I handed that out to you. So this is what we've done over since 2016. The column way over to the right, I haven't really filled in. The one fees that I definitely think we should adjust is the weekend fee going from $350 to $400. And then the monument setting fee, just consolidating them and just having one fee and then raising it slightly. Other than that, we're very comparable with Pierre, Yankton, Aberdeen, and Watertown. They would be the other municipal cemeteries. There are some categories that are different than ours and some that are the same, but overall, we seem to be about the same. About the only big difference was Watertown. They've got a new section, and they're just doing a different fee structure. They've got concrete ledger already poured all the way along.
Just like down at St. Peter Fall.
Yeah.
By St. Peter.
9 inches thick, so, but that expense is already taken care of for you, so it's all built into it, so. But for the most part, I guess the question is, the cemetery doesn't make money overall. It's a service for the city. As you can see, it's been kind of the same for a few years. Talking with Aaron, other than these couple, probably the opening and closing bumping a little bit. The grave site's been the same for 4 years now, and we could bump that a little bit. I guess I haven't really set in my head what I really want to do. I just want to get you guys' opinion, and I'll bring it back to you, so. I mean, so like if we would raise, we do 150 burials a year, 130 to 150 burials a year. We only sell about 60 lots a year. So you're not talking, if we raise it $50 or $25, you're not talking large amounts of money, so. But like the 400 for the weekend fee, that's just more covering our costs. That's, if somebody's gonna have a funeral, if they want it on the weekend, they're gonna have it.
You could charge $1,000 on the weekend. they want to have a Saturday funeral.
Yeah.
And we're not the only ones doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. The Vault Company right now is charging extra for Saturdays. There's funeral homes around here that are charging extra for Saturday fees too.
So.
I'm not one of them.
Yes.
But we had raised that from 2022 to 2023 by $100 already, so I thought $50 was,
Yeah.
so, I guess
The other question I would have is this. What's your percentage of traditional burial at the cremation burial?
we're getting closer and closer to 50%.
Okay. So,
50%?
Getting closer.
Wow.
It's crazy.
What was it before COVID?
Probably 33%, probably, close to that.
Surprised it was that strong.
It's been growing. I mean, I'd have to go back to look at the records. That is a guess. But it's been a little more every year. And some of it is also, there's a lot of these sitting on shelves in their closets at his place. You don't have to have a funeral right away, so I don't doubt a bit there's quite a few sitting on the shelf just from COVID yet, so.
those 64% in South Dakota is cremation rate.
What is the state at?
64%.
60.
Now, there are some places, you get out west, it's higher than that. In some places, it's lower than that, but on average, across the state, it's 64%.
Is that good or bad for you guys?
People are willing to pay, it's okay.
We'll have less cemetery grounds to keep up with.
You could have put that curtain, that bike path, we could have ran it down the middle. There's the roof. Oh, want to go there, do we?
Too late.
So I guess just to make this simple, I mean, just want to know if you guys got strong feelings one way or another.
Jason, you
Are we
told me
pretty
today,
close?
too, what are we getting charged a year for this digital?
$2,000 is the service fee every year. We'll update it quarterly, and then that covers that and any updates throughout the year, so. And part of that we'll recover somewhat from the service maintenance contracts and stuff like that, so. So the city we'll be paying it all, but we'll be gathering fees from other places to help subsidize or help with that.
Well, and there's one other piece that Jason neglects to talk about. And I've been to some of these other cemeteries, okay? They may be price-wise close to us, but as far as product quality,
Not even.
no way. I mean, we are awesome out here. You guys do an awesome job. And if people don't think you do, they just need to go drive to another cemetery and look. So. Because how many we had, we brought people disinterred and reinterred.
Mhm.
Really?
Did 4 in one day last year.
Really?
Yeah, all went to Gracie.
So do you think that 400's enough for the weekend? How many weekends do you have burials?
We did Saturday funeral fees. This year we did 330. 330 divided by 350. Whatever that is.
You did 330?
3,300,
Yeah.
sorry. Divided by 350. So about 9, 10. So I mean, it's not a huge moneymaker either. There isn't one of these items that are huge moneymakers. Like I said, it's,
Right. But are you covering your staff coming in on a weekend and?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I think it's covering that.
All right.
Because typically it's a 2-hour deal when they come in. They come in, if they got to do a lead-in, and then they wait for the half-hour service to get done, and they fill it, and they're out of there, so.
Okay. You see anything that jumps out at you that, I mean, these are just discussion now, we weren't setting until next
I mean,
month,
for
but.
me, I would probably raise the open and closing,
Mm.
because, I mean, Randy Young, okay, he's 650 right now. And he's 325 for a cremation rate right now, Randy is. And he's gonna go up the price. I mean, I've never had people, when I tell them this is what it costs to open a grave, where they,
Haggling over
oh
the.
my God. You know, I mean, now, a couple times I've had burials in Sioux Falls, I told them the opening closing was $1,400. And they dig the grave the same way you guys do for $650. Okay, now we got a discussion going.
Mhm.
But I think you could easily raise it $50. 25 maybe for cremation.
Yeah. I guess.
Yeah, it's not, the cemetery never even money.
No, I mean, unless you went way out of what the norm is for a municipal cemetery in this area. I mean, like you said, Sioux Falls, they're all private ones. They're double the price on most of this stuff, but they're covering a lot of their costs too.
So, here in South Dakota, it doesn't make a difference whether it's a cremation or traditional, they charge the same amount for big and
What?
Charge the same amount.
Without going back, how much over expenses are we on revenue in the cemetery? On average year?
160, I believe.
Okay.
So we don't quite make up half.
It used to be 40, 42%, 10, 15 years
Yeah.
ago. You got a little more money. Do you remember that? Yeah.
Our budgeted revenue is 142. Our budgeted, expenses, if you exclude capital, our normal expense is about 300,000. Now, this year, we had a fair amount for capital stuff, which we normally don't have that much. But for a normal year, yeah, that's about where we're at.
And are we finalizing these in January?
Yes,
How come we don't do it now?
because I didn't have it prepared in time.
Didn't want to make it awkward. It seemed like we'd want to have our rates done at January 1st, they're set, but
Yeah.
that's fine.
Well, I wanted to have somewhat of a discussion about it before setting them. Like you said, I've kind of set some where I thought they should be. I talked to Terry earlier, and the two he recommended were kind of there too. There's a few other that we maybe could, but like I said, I just wanted to get somewhat of your guys' feeling before we're not setting anything, but I just kind of wanted to get your opinions.
All right. Anything else on the fee discussion? Let's move on to contract discussion.
So the Calvary and the Servicemen's and the Legion Cemetery, they each pay a certain amount for us maintaining them. In that, it covers stuff like mowing, snow removal, trimming of the hedge, litter cleanup. We sell the lots, we do seeding, record keeping, that kind of stuff.
Is there some that are more labor intensive, some areas?
Yeah, the Calvary Cemetery is, by quite a ways.
Yeah, bigger.
Yeah. Yep.
But per square yard, or
Yeah, they're, servicemen's, you would think would be easier because they're all flat stones, but it's not necessarily, just because of all the flowers and everything in that, so. But yeah, the church definitely pays more overall, just because there's more trees, and there's Legion and Servicemen's, there's hardly any trees, so they have a lot more acreage and everything, so. So I guess what I was going to suggest is going up $60 on each of them. About the only difference is so out of these, two of them have money, one of them doesn't. So I don't know if, does a guy take that into consideration on that one?
I would present it to them, and first guy that speaks loses. I mean, it's not like we're raising a huge
Yeah.
amount.
So just a little bit of history on the rates that we've done. In 2019, there was a pretty big jump. They were really reasonable before that. There was a really big jump in 2019, and it's been that since. So there needs to be something happening. We've kind of left it alone the last couple of years just because it was pretty fair. Now, I think it's still pretty reasonable overall. I talked to Dean Strand earlier today, and he said, yeah, it's pretty reasonable overall. He knows what we do out there. He knows what we put into it, so. So, I mean, we could do 30 each, we could do 60 each. If you want to consider the one, or do you think we can't do that? So. And we're not voting on this either. This is discussion that's coming back to you guys next.
Have you had the conversation with them about it?
I've had a conversation with Dean about it.
Okay.
He,
Because the problem's going to arise, the one cemetery that doesn't have any money in 20 years, they're not going to have expenses.
yep. Yep.
which means there'll be no annual revenue.
Yeah, so if they don't have money now, they really won't have any money in 20 years.
Yep.
Unless you take that into consideration of the cemetery expansion.
Yep.
I don't know how you can differentiate them on the front end with the contract. You just do it case by case as
Because
they,
here's the other deal, with both of these cemeteries, they're also not selling graves for what we're selling graves for either.
No. So well, yes, they are. The upfront price is the same. We only get a percentage of that for selling them. So then they pay, for every grave that's sold, we get a percentage, which is a fairly small percentage, but then the rest of that goes to them.
What I'm saying is to the public, when they sell a grave, we sell a grave at Graceland, it's $600.
Yep.
Okay. You sell a grave at Sortison's, it's not $600.
Well, no.
Okay. American Legion, I don't know what they are, American Legion, how much they sell.
Same as servicemen's.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, so Catholic cemetery would be the same as,
Same.
yeah, sorry. Sorry.
And I'm going to preface that with also this. In all the years I've been in Mitchell, I don't know that they've taken an increase in what they charge for a grave in quite a while either. So,
And in that, if we increase our grave space to say 650, the Catholic would too. The Servicemen's and Legion, it's up to them. So.
So it's the Servicemen's, the Legion, and what's the other one?
Calvary Cemetery, the Catholic.
And that's which part?
All the way on the east side.
Far east side.
Yep.
So just that whole,
The four
Yep.
blocks plus along the driveway coming in.
Yeah.
On the east side.
so what's left there? Just that little dip, right? Is that pretty much all that's left there?
Between
That low
Legion
line.
and the baby section.
Yep.
There's a section through there.
That low-lying area?
Yep. So the only problem with, there won't be able to be a whole lot of graves that go in that because there's a huge drainage pipe that runs through
Yeah.
there. That's why, like where the waterfall is and where on the south or north side of the city columbarium, there's a big drainage line that goes all the way through there. So that's why those areas aren't developed. There is a couple spots that the Calvary can develop yet.
but it could be
Not
developed
really.
with another columbarium.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, there's plans for possibly 2 more columbariums with the city columbarium. But the city columbarium isn't selling. The Servicemen's columbarium is selling really well. The city is lacking a little behind that, and the Catholic one is even further behind on that. So.
How many does the Legion got left?
They've got, they're looking at selling it out in the next probably 3 to 5 years. They actually had a meeting with the supplier for columbariums here last week, and I sat in on it. They're looking at about $45,000 to put in a new columbarium.
Because now they'll pre-sell now, won't they, the Legion?
Yep.
That's what I thought.
The only thing with that is you can't pick your spot, so you're just the next one in line. So if you want to wait until one opens up, you can buy it at that point.
Pick my spot.
So
In order to pick your spot, you have to pick your death.
I think you gotta pick your day.
Yeah.
Some days my wife would probably pick that day for me.
Good to have quotes.
Did I say that in an open meeting?
You
That
did.
just happened.
Yes. You did that on YouTube.
So just to move on,
What are you saying?
does that sound reasonable, $30 to $60 somewhere in there? I mean,
I think it's unreasonable.
Yeah.
And we'll finalize those at our next meeting as well.
yes.
Okay. Anything else on the contracts?
Nope, that was just kind of it. Unless somebody has a question on what we do or what our responsibilities are, can answer that, but.
All right, let's move on to tees and marker discussion.
We'll try to make this quick, but, so on the T signs, I was looking at doing multiple of them. It'll have to come out of my supplies budget right now. So what I wanted to ask you guys is, going down the road, do you like what we have? Would you like to see something different? Because if I'm gonna stick money into new signs, and if our projects keep rolling, we'll have about 5, 6, 7 of them gonna have to change. So at this point, I just wanna know, do you like what we have? We can reproduce what we got? Or do you wanna move on to something different?
Like, I don't even think our gold tees are on there, are they, Jason?
Oh.
I don't think so.
Are they?
Kevin never put them on, because we put the gold tees on after I was here.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff, you know.
And at that, I
Not
mean, if
correct.
we moved a tee box up, that's going to have to change somehow on that. Our current logo is not on there. So by the time we start switching things up, do we want to try to stay the same, or do we want to try something new?
My personal opinion is we need to get something new and modern, but I don't know how we can do that until we're done with renovation.
Well, either we try to do them certain amount of it, like we could change a few of them now but then it's going to be different than everything else.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah, so do I just try to reproduce what we got for now on 14, 15? Well, and the other thing is 13 and 14 will be 12 and 13 now. So there will just be different nuances on most of the signs going forward. Like I said, so.
I kind of liked what I really liked was, I think it's Hartford has these giant rock T markers. I mean, they're as wide as this piece of paper and probably that tall. And I thought they're fake, and I went over and kicked one. Because, that's what you do. Yeah, that was
You said
like,
it was a surgery.
and I immediately thought of your staff going, they have to move these every day, off, mow, and back. And I bet they weigh 40 pounds apiece. But anyway, they're T markers. These are markers, so you got at least, I think, 3 or 4 sets of them on every tee.
Well.
I mean, they look cool, but practically, I'm like,
Well,
anyway.
ours are, I go out and move them every member gets. And I do not know how a retired person would ever want to move. When you get to July, you need to go, you get blisters in your
Oh,
hands.
put them in the
Because
ground.
they're that thick of steel, that thick, and when the D-backs get a little firm, and I would refuse to mow tees. They're not fun, are they, Jason?
No, you kind of got a technique, you throw them in the ground and you stomp them.
Then they're crooked.
That's
yeah,
how you
no.
got to do them.
I do that too at the end.
See, I like, they did that mock-up of that one on that 3D printer, I think, of that
Yep,
with the dome. And I like that concept, having the Corn Palace dome as your T marker. But, heavy enough that they just sit on the ground. I mean,
No.
not that, you don't need them.
Even them, sometimes they just have little half-inch spikes.
yeah.
Yeah, but still heavy enough that they're not gonna blow over or, I don't know. But I thought that was kind of cool.
It still works.
Yeah.
That is, to an extent.
It's time for a change.
Yeah, I agree.
I would like to do something more modern too, but
So yeah, as far as you moved to T's, but as far as those, we did have an individual that offered to donate one set. but I didn't want to get that if we were going to change something. And I didn't want to just get something just to get something, and then we decide we wanted something totally different. So I guess how much change do you guys want to see on that? So,
Well, I'd say work up some mock-ups on some examples of some Mitchell-themed T markers.
How much did you say it costs to do the repurpose of the sign that we already have? Or the signs that we have right now, getting away from T markers, how much was it for each individual sign?
to have one made right now, $800. But that was for one. We had the one stolen off of 16 last winter, and I just had somebody, street or traffic department made a mock-up for me just for now. I got a quote of $800 just to make one. So if you're gonna make multiple, that price will go down, I'm sure.
And that's the wooden ones like we had?
The one like what,
Yeah.
trying to make it look as much like what we
Right.
got now.
There's gotta be a lot of maintenance.
I haven't touched them in 5 years since I've been here, so they need a little paint. Yeah, they need a little work on them.
Kevin, you painted those maybe a year before you painted them?
I know,
2 years
yeah.
before?
I'm contemplating taking them all down this winter and just sprucing them up, knowing that we're gonna live with them for a while yet, so.
Where are we at a sign at the front on Olin?
Out of budget, if I remember right.
It was bundled together with the rest of the projects.
So I don't know. Might it get put back in? I don't know. We could request to take it out of cash down the road next year. We have a couple opportunities for that. But there again, we talk about taking cash out to pay for equipment. We talk about cash for this, cash for that. We talk about another full-time person or more employees. Okay, we're making 170,000 now. Well, we take a full-time employee, that's 100,000.
Yep.
So we just got to take some of this into consideration on when we are pulling cash out of there. Yeah, we got it there and it's there for purpose, but just got to be dutiful on, because if we pay for all of our equipment, then we don't have near as much money to put forward towards the project, so.
And that's 5 years, and then we better just take it toward golf carts again.
Yep,
Hopefully these next 5 years.
yep.
So I have a suggestion, because at the old book dock, somebody backed over that sign over the weekend. Okay? Today, the city was out there putting a new one up. So we just need somebody to back over that sign.
I was just gonna ask you, are you saying somebody needs to back over the sign?
It probably better be a cement truck.
You don't want to put that out over YouTube because, I mean, the tens of thousands of
Joel
people are
did some
listening.
undercover work in his day. He's not sharing this popcorn.
But that sign, and I had several meetings with Stephanie about that, was supposed to be paid for out of some convention visitors, whatever, tourism money. And so I guess my direction would be, Kevin, can you research where that's at in the pre-post budget thing? I know it got taken out because of the tax thing.
But it's looking bad.
It is, and it needs to get done. And yeah.
So what would happen if we went back in and asked and went for this high-budget digital sign, full well knowing that's not what we're gonna get, and then slide in on
Shoot high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
YouTube thing again.
Yeah.
That's how school districts do it.
Yeah.
But I want to say that sign was about 25,000-ish to zero.
So that was what, you can spend more than that. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
spend less than that. It's all depending, what do you want for an end product?
That sign's lighted today, right?
No,
Is there power out there?
no.
Okay.
Well, I'm assuming it's going through the ditch there somewhere, but
But we, we're currently not using a couple.
No.
So that knocks a few ideas out there.
Did you want it, lady? It would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, we're not open in the night, so
Right.
is it really needed? I mean, I suppose maybe,
You started football tournaments at night, see? that-
no, no.
The lighted driving range.
Nobody would let neighbors upset.
I think I worked the last one of them.
They're really excited for. we get the
Well, just,
liquor license.
just see where they're at with that. And 'cause we'd really, that's really like to get going on that. She thought, yeah. I mean, they had money available for signage. It was like tourism or something, I don't remember exactly, but
It's really bad.
yeah.
I mean, it,
walked by the other day once.
yeah, I mean, it's not just that it's dated, like, it's falling apart.
Well, we've had that conversation. We got such a nice entrance to that course with the tree line driveway, and that sign will just enhance that.
Surprised neighbors haven't taken it up.
Ah, yeah.
Maybe that's the phone call. we
I-
make.
All right, so I think we're on the same page as far as the Ts, or, the markers anyway. So if we can start working on some.
Come up with some options.
Yeah. Anything else on signage? All right, future projects discussion.
So we've kind of discussed a lot of different stuff
Yeah.
here, so if we can not rehash things, but I guess as far as prioritize wise,
I'd like to know where the bathroom is at the cemetery that Dean did all the work on as far as in the budget.
that is still, and
That's still in.
It is. Good. That answers that question.
So, I guess.
Let's prioritize. Let's go around the table and everybody, we talked about where you want to spend your money, but you got to put them in order. Otherwise, they ain't not going to know what the budget. You know, I mean, if it's renovation, the one thing I would question on renovation is with what we were getting for whatever, $670,000 to build 9 greens and 9 tee boxes. I don't think 1.5 is nearly enough, but that's just my personal opinion. You know, I think it'd be double that. And maybe you got some estimates, but,
So what that 1 point, I think it was actually like 1.4 or something, that was to redo number 14, current number 14. New green for 5, new tee for 4, and then the driving range stuff. That would have been 3 holes.
Right.
That would have been new tee box, targets. There would be artificial turf line in that tee box.
no, I was talking about the par 3 course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was what got submitted before. That was 3 holes of the par 3 course, and that's what was in that quote.
That's 1.5?
1.4 something, I don't remember.
Basically, yeah.
Yep. So it was those 2 projects bundled in together. I had Norby kind of put a little bit of numbers together for me. He thought for a 5-hole short course and just redoing the driving range, tee box and stuff, would be close to 1 million.
Close to what?
Close to 1 million. It was
And that's-
900 something.
It's on the north side by the.
So
Bowling.
the reason why I had them do it that way is because we had the question about possibly going over by the Bowling Green. That number should cover both because we're probably only going to get 5 or 6 holes in that area. So I had to do a comparable, it ain't going to matter. So if we want to do a couple extra holes, if we do go to the old driving range, there might be a couple extra holes, so it might be a little bit more. So it's going to come down to what's workable and what direction we want to go. So,
So we're close in there. That'd be close to 1.6 for all of that. Wasn't it around, didn't we figure like 600,000 for the old phase 3, 14.5 and 4 T-box? It was like 400 and some thousand in the original, and then we added 30% to it.
I'm sorry, I don't remember that number right off the top of my head. Yeah, it'll be in there somewhere, 100, 1.5, 1.6, somewhere in there,
Yeah.
yep.
You're saying we can part three plus do all the 14.5,
Yep.
it's all in
All
one.
in one.
Part three course range.
Yep.
Seems like a lot of work for you getting done for that amount of money.
Yeah.
What's that paring back on the range then?
I don't know on the specifics.
What was the
on
question?
Range.
So you said the first option that you threw out was like 14.5, 4 T-box.
So that was the original
That was like
phase 3?
1.5 with
No,
No.
green, or with the T-box.
No, it wasn't even close to that. That's the original phase 3 plan was
like,
14, 5 green, 4 T-box. And part of the range was
Yep.
like, it was under 600,000 for that project.
no,
I thought it was
no.
1.5.
That was
No,
combined with the other project.
There was about 400,000 just for 14 in that area.
Yeah, that didn't include the range.
Phase 3 was
Right.
400 and some thousand.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, but we added to it because that was the original
Yes.
quoted price. And we put another 30% on that to cover
Yep.
whatever that would be. And then we estimated with the price that they had quoted, same bid, or whatever, or projection in 2021 or 22 of the range, and we added the par 3 to add those together. That's where we came up with the 1.5.
Gotcha.
And I talked to Jason about getting us a harder figure on that par 3
Gotcha.
through Norby. And he was working with the city engineer on getting some topographical stuff.
So, yeah, city engineers are doing some GPS or some topo mapping of that area to see if it's feasible. So we got to start there, and then, like I said, Norby kind of, it was 900,000 to $1 million is what he was thinking for just the driving range and those short course. And like I said, that'd be 5 holes. So-
I was running Norby. What did he say about Dunnick's seed? I mean, they laid an egg on there, on what they sold us.
Yep, so,
They're putting us behind.
yep. So he-
What did Norby say about that?
I don't think anybody's real happy about it, so. He helped me convey the message that.
But they don't
we gotta
stand by
take
their
care of
work,
this.
or we're
Yeah.
just?
Yeah, they're gonna come back.
They didn't exactly come out here and check and do anything this fall. They didn't overseed that I know of. Is that correct?
No,
Yeah.
once they left, they were gone.
Yeah.
But, like I said, if it's gonna come down to that that's gonna delay us opening, they are gonna sod those areas, so.
I think it's just awful. That they don't stand by their work and don't check on it, just leave and we're stuck.
So we feel 1.5, at least old numbers, short the par 3, 5 holes.
Yeah,
Ish.
and that was, like I said, that was kind of, I did it that way just because we're not sure where we're going. That gives us kind of options.
Yep.
So,
Because if you're asking for priority, that's my priority, right? Because my priority is infrastructure on the course and what can we do to take the heat off of the actual course itself, right? While still enhancing the course itself as well too. And like Eric says,
And
without,
the process.
absolutely, and without kicking people off of the course, right? Saying, nope, sorry, you can't play, you got to go away. Well, you can't play on this course, but you can stay here and you can do this. And hey, it's only gonna cost you an extra $20 or whatever the heck it's gonna be, right? You know, I mean, and there's sodas and a hot dog and everything else that you can buy on your way out. I mean, it's, yeah,
It makes me wonder how much, our driving range is up a lot too.
a lot.
How much of that is truly practice time, or is it, I can't get on the course right now?
So I'm gonna
So let's
out
go
and-
hit balls.
So I'm gonna go hit.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we just raised our rates on that too. So how much of it is it because we raised our rates? But truth be told, we could probably raise our rates again and people still aren't gonna bat an eyelash at it, right? Because of the the want is there, and we're still very competitive with everybody else in the state of South Dakota in terms of our rates there as well too, right? I mean, we certainly haven't outpriced ourselves there. And if you have a good practice experience out there, get some sand bunkers. Because our practice facility area it's lacking.
Well, and that's another argument to make, or justification to the city, is that, like Jason talked about, we don't want to shorten the course on we've got this cash, and we don't want to short our projects to enhance the course and keep that up. And that's why we're coming here. And these are one-time things. This isn't a reoccurring issue. But that would be my priority, is continue down this renovation plan.
When was the last big project at the golf course?
It was last year.
Prior to that?
And prior to that was the building basically of the new 9. Big project. Back in 80.
2 or 83, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, and then I would say probably the next one on the horizon that we probably, next 10 years, 15 years, probably we gotta start looking at the clubhouse.
Clubhouse.
We gotta start looking at the clubhouse. It is quickly becoming not functional within the space, and just locker rooms and just functionality.
So that was kind of one of my points I wanted to make, is for what we got going here for this, things to keep in mind. Clubhouse, do we want to go with electric carts on our next fleet? Or do we want to stay with gas? Yep, because then our storage changes. Do we still want to try to do the project on 11?
Where are we at on that?
It's just a matter of if we would want to move forward with it, we need to make a new proposal for it.
But
I didn't think we could,
are we cleared?
yeah.
No, we would have to make a proposal and submit it to them, and they would tell us if we are or not.
Who's they?
Historic Society. Or is that something we just stay away from and move on to other things? I guess is the question.
Which money do you want to spend then?
How much is that? 11?
Oh, it was about 270, but by the time it gets done with all that included, it's probably going to be significantly more, I'm going to guess. I've never been through that process, but I've talked to some people that have been, and it ends up adding a lot of cost.
Why is the Historical Society involved in that? And what's down there that?
So everything towards the Indian Village is part of a national registry,
Okay, I get that, but I mean, that falls under Historical Society?
I guess.
I didn't know.
Yep. Yep, that's who we would have to ask for permission to do anything down
I see 3 little old ladies from Indian River who wrote books.
there. So,
At this stage on 11, I might be in the minority on this, but at this stage in the game on the 11, it would be nice, but it's not a need.
I would agree.
Like, when we were doing everything else, like, all in, right? Like, yeah, heck yeah. But now that we've moved forward with everything else and it's still there, like, doesn't have to happen, right? Like Like, if it happened, it would be great. Still think it would be awesome, but now that we've leapfrogged it and it's been pushed to the back burner,
And we can always revisit it.
we can always come back and do it at another time.
I think our
Right.
funds would be better served
used
elsewhere.
Elsewhere. What is that $300,000, $400,000 that we would ask to allocate there? What is that going to do to alleviate our infrastructure needs elsewhere on the course? It's not going to do the par three and the range, and those things are going to be a way bigger return on our investment, bang for our buck, than straightening out hole 11, right? It's going to be pretty,
Just to
it's going to be all those things.
And on that line, I guess, when we talk about priorities, with the input I've got from golfers and people that are wanting or willing to donate, there's more of a priority in my mind of dealing with this par three and the range practice area than there even is going into doing 14, 5, and 4. So, I mean, if it came down to it, in my mind,
I agree.
I would rather scrap those and put those down the road and prioritize this par three and practice area renovation.
To me, if I had to pick the three, just me, it's par three, range, 14, 5, 4. If we weren't able to bundle all three of those together,
Yep.
to me, it is 110% par three.
So,
Because I even think that that's something that after you get it in, like even if you're 50-50 on it now, after you get it in and you go, oh, holy crap, this is really great, right? I mean, that's just me, right?
But the other thing, and I agree with you, but I think you need to keep your foot on the gas a little bit, because we all know what's going on over on the other side of town.
Yep.
You know, and if we have a product or a service that we can provide, they will come.
Mhm.
One bad thing about not, is once we get on the new 14, is we got a hole in our course with the old 12. That's the bad thing about 11, using the old 11. And when you're walking, you gotta walk from 11 to 13 tee.
Yep.
Given how many people walk today.
Riding the same thing, you got a hole in your course, but yeah. There's a lot of competitive golf, but high school, college are all walking, but, that's.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, that's a bad thing about 11 not getting done. It doesn't, we took what we were going to remodel in the course. We really didn't need a new par three if we weren't going to do 11.
Right.
So,
Well, no, I disagree. I think we needed to get rid of 12.
I don't disagree, but,
That's why we have the new par three.
but in order to redo 11 and wrap, we were losing hole 12. So we had to find a par three. That's how I was looking at it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm guessing some of that had to do with the flow of the course. Moving that green over and addressing that issue, not necessarily anything for the integrity of the course by moving that, oh, Jesus, is so much better, but you end up having a less gap between holes. As it is, we're getting rid of this hole, we need a new par three somewhere, this is where we can put it.
Yeah. And I get it. I mean, it's a gap and it's a goofy gap, and especially if you played the course before, you're like, there used to be a hole here and now there's not. Like, what the heck? But I mean, I've golfed plenty of courses where there's a huge gap in between where you're just like, like it is what it is.
Play tomahawk out in the hills.
Yeah, I mean,
There's a lot of gas.
yeah, Wild Oak,
Yeah, it'd
I
be
mean,
nice to have it.
I agree. I mean, yeah, totally. Like, I mean,
Right.
right, yeah, 13 was moving back, 11 was moving this way. Right. Yeah, I mean, I get it. But I mean, like, to me, nobody's going to walk off the course after 18 holes and go, this round sucked because of that gap between 11 and 12, Yeah. That'll probably be the only time I'll ever ace hole 12. Is when it's no longer a hole anymore. I mean.
I've aced 12.
Eric, what's your thoughts on priorities? On know your funds?
par three course. I don't know, I still think 11, I mean, it's money, it's not my money, but I mean, it's money, I would like to see 11 get done. But par three and practice facility, aesthetically pleasing, the driving range a little bit more. I mean, we have such a nice, huge driving range, it's high usage, it'd be nice if it could aesthetically look like something, I guess. But par three course.
It does, looks like 300 yards and open field.
Wide open space. Just hit it wherever you want.
And I mean, the artificial turf would be nice, but I mean, we already got that mowed out area in the front that's the tee box that we use. We don't want the main range to get beat up. Artificial turf, that's a high, I don't know,
There's-
it could be nice, but.
There's gonna be, in the driving range part, with what's being proposed, there's definitely, I mean, the targets. How in detail do you need to go on them? The artificial turf deal. The thing is, if the short course goes up by the Bowling Green, and we don't lose any tee box space, that's probably the biggest driving range tee box in the state. So we got a lot to chew up.
Artificial turf, how permanent is that? Is it a 5-year, is it a 10-year, where it's gotta be? again?
So typically, the way it's done is there's a strip of concrete, and then it's set on top of that. And then the strip of AstroTurf you replace every probably 8 to 10 years. So the cost of that, I mean, yeah, it's a cost, but it's not.
But it doesn't have rubber pellets like a baseball field?
No.
Field.
No.
It's just basically carpet.
Carpet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Emerald Hills has it in Okoboji, and if you want to have people not use the driving range, put artificial turf in. I can't get off there quick enough. It's horrible. And we're down there the first weekend in October, so they got their tee box, not very big, and a tee box, and so it's all turf.
How many times are you gonna bounce your driver off that turf because you're used to taking?
You got rubber tees.
But we're only talking a 4-foot stretch on the back of the tee box to use in spring and late fall.
Do you think, Dan,
And say, yeah, we're not doing all turf,
No.
right? Okay, yeah.
No.
driving range is so small?
Narrow, yeah, really,
Yeah, we don't have a lot of room, but we have.
yes.
Yeah.
Theirs is, and it's shut down. It's mandatory, you have to use the turf. So most people are hitting a few off their woods, off their rubber tees and
No,
going to the tee.
I'd never support that for a range. But the far south end, we can certainly develop into practice area better. I mean, we got the room to bunkers, targets, short,
Jason, we got irrigation on every hump out there, right?
On what?
Irrigation on every hump at the driving range?
Every
Is there
home.
irrigation?
Oh, out for targets?
Yeah,
There is, but they don't work.
but there's water there.
There's water out to them, yeah.
You could, if you want bent grass or whatever, I mean, there's water there, there's tees there, so.
You mean, when you say they don't work, they're just
There's an
not in the system?
Yeah, there's an electrical issue to them, and I haven't prioritized it to make.
The only reason I ever knew there was water in every hump is when they're blowing out their system at the end of the year. I was like, shh.
I guess it's just a priority thing, where is it needed to have them 5 spots that are green?
Initially, they were ahead of their time. They were putting in a practice facility before people knew what practice facilities were.
Yeah.
They had the humps, they had the irrigation, and,
The problem is that the pins are on the very top of the hump. They need to be halfway down the hill so you can actually see where your ball is hitting at the target. I mean, it seems small, but that's
yeah.
when it's redone, it's, if this is your target, and this is where the pins are right now, on the very top of the hill. You want it here, so you can tell if you're hitting, how close to that flag am I hitting when I goes over the top and into the infinity?
So I think it's pretty clear what the first priority is, I guess the main thing is down 14 or 11. Is 14 come before 11? How far down the line are we thinking clubhouse possibility? Are we, there again, a golf cart thing? I mean, if we keep up at 37,000 rounds a year, we might have to bump that up a year or two.
Well, and that's fine. I mean, look at our golf cart revenue.
Yeah, yeah.
You pay one time and you're paid off in a year. There's not many. More than paid off in a year. It's a good problem to have.
Yep.
And me, I'd say, unless we get mandated to go to electric, gas are so much simpler.
And I don't disagree with that. I just, with the way things are going, if,
Well, a lot of it depended on our last election.
yeah,
We had
and
that
I
conversation.
totally understand that.
Yeah, I think we're okay.
When we bought the current fleet, we had that discussion, and that's why I wanted to see where
Yep.
we're at on it. And, I mean, like I said, we're 3 years in. We should have 2-3 years bare minimum left on these. But if we are thinking about electric yet, we just need a plan for that ahead of time. If we're just going with another fleet of gas, we order it and we're good to go. But just want to get your guys' feeling on it.
I have an electric cart, and I love it on a personal level, but boy, I don't know about a whole fleet.
Gas would be so much more user-friendly for operations.
For you guys and your staff, you're going to have to add more staff if you're going to go electric.
Yeah, and we've talked about that. He's going to have more staff. Yes, you say may or may not save going from electric or gas to electric, but it's the added on his end. It's a lot of back and forth,
Lot.
forth.
And your turnaround time is not just as quick at the end of the day.
Pour in a couple of electrons.
Without charging.
Depends on where I'm at in the cycle of my batteries.
But would it go a 12-hour day?
No.
They say the new lithium. will
I was just going to
36
say,
volt.
now, if you have the new lithium, like, I don't know how those are,
They
right?
say 36 volt.
Because on the old one, I've got 1, 2, 3, I think I've got the 6 batteries is what I have.
You play 18 holes, you come back to your house, you're plugging it in. Right?
When I do 18 holes right now and I just put new batteries in them, I think this was my 3rd year on these batteries. And they say if you take care of them, you get about 7 years
Yep.
out of them. If I go 36 holes, yep. Or like if I drive it across town, like if I golf in like the city tournament and I golf it, and I drive it across town to Wild Oak. And now Wild Oak is different, right? Because you got a lot of hills and things like that. But I'm battery lights on at the end of the day. So yeah, yeah, I take my charger with me. And, oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And how often is 80% of our fleet out at one time?
Not real often, because we had that conversation also. If we would go electric, what my intent would be is we hold on to about 10 or so of what we have for on the side, or at times where he can't get to them. But yeah, I would say on a weekend, probably 80% is out. On a nice day is 80 to 95% for most of the day. During the week, not so much.
And it depends too, I mean, what we have going on. If we have events going
Yeah.
on, we have an event, and all of a sudden league goes, or league, women's night or something, well, then more carts are going out during the event, and they're getting turned over to a league or something in the evening too, so it all depends on.
They no more than get parked and they're going right back out again. Where if you have electric, you can't do that more than once,
Yep.
right?
You either need additional electrics or gas supplements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm taking from our discussion that we're just going to stick with gas unless we're mandated otherwise.
Okay.
Or unless they really come out with just a really whiz-bang electric cart that,
How much difference in price between gas and
About equal anymore.
Is it equal?
Well, I got a price on comparable to what we have now and a lithium. If you go with regular batteries, they're pretty comparable. You go with lithium are about $3,000 more per cart.
Well, then would you have to do, like, redo all the sheds?
Yep, that was,
Biggest issue.
that was the biggest issue is,
Tens of thousands.
Yep.
we would be talking about just a rough guess, 150,000 for a building.
Goodness.
I mean, unless if we took that long shed and repurposed it, upgraded it. Yeah, we could rewire it and everything, but we can't, we can only fit so many carts in there
Right.
to, what did we figure out, 36? That, so, like right now, we fit all 48 in there, but it's boom, 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 boom. You can't get in there to do anything. So to function, take them in and out, we're figuring about 36 in that current building.
'Cause you'd need to wire
It would
those.
add so much to Eric's labor.
You would.
You can't open with one person.
You'd have to have a full.
So it'd take you an hour to hour and 15 minutes on a weekend to get carts out morning,
It's hard to do them
and then an
outside.
hour at night. Night he has two people closing, except for
I've
spring
heard
and
of
fall.
doing it. but-
You can't get there at 6, and you start running back and forth, nobody's inside.
You'd
It'd be a
probably,
nightmare.
you'd probably have to have two people running carts at all times.
It's a country club thing.
Yep.
You need a cart boy.
Yeah.
You need him to wash it, clean it, change them, plug it in. It'd be a nightmare on a public course.
Yep.
Or to add a lot of expense.
Yeah, you'd probably have to have two running carts at all time.
Where my daughter and son-in-law live, they have a course there that are all electric carts, but where the carts are stored, they have an electric station that runs down maybe 40, 50 yards. Yep, and there's a stand with a cord, and when you pull in, or when you get assigned a cart, you go out there, you unplug it, put the cord on the
Oh, really?
stand, and then go, and then when you return it up at the clubhouse, they have a guy that takes it out, makes sure it's plugged in. But looking at that going, well, there's no way if I pick, because I don't know what cart, I mean, I just go take one. And if that cart just came off the course and the kid just plugged it in, how full is it?
Yes, Minnesota.
It is, yes. But just looking at that logistically and what you'd have to go through, we'd have to have a lot of upgrades out there.
Pretty soon, much solar panels on the town.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Tim Walls will have solar panels on there.
Well, he's got time to think about it. Any other discussion on future projects?
And if you guys have ideas or something going forward at any time on projects, even littler projects in the clubhouse or something you, whatever, just let us know. Like I said, this is just discussion, just getting your guys' feel on things so we know what direction to go.
How much time do you think you got left in that clubhouse?
Me and Jason were looking at the other day, each year it dwindles and more repairs and I told them the cabinets that Patzer put in was 2008, I believe.
What's that?
The cabinet, new countertops, the stuff in there was 2008. I mean, that's going on.
Brand new. The year before I was there, Murph did it one year.
16 years,
It's
17
holding up
years.
good, but each year it just,
It comes down to a matter of how much money you want to put into it.
Right.
I mean, it could last 100 years if you keep on putting money into it.
Work-wise, it's pretty operable. Probably the only negative is, that I've seen, is when I came back to work and they enclose the roof and you can't see 10 T-box. Hey, can we go off the back? Yeah, I don't know, I can't see, let me walk outside. That's a pain.
That is one request, and I just thought of that when you said that, that was with that patio, open that thing up and put in retractable doors or something along there, so it's, you know, because you've had events out there, it's so stagnant in there even with the fans. And then when the weather's crappy, you can close the windows and stuff, but instead just,
You put retractable wrappers.
yep, that's what I'm saying, just around the whole outside of it. You can open that thing up and it
You used to be able to
It
fit
needs to be
110 people.
Yeah.
Picnic tables right up to it, they just float out. There's probably, I don't know, how many times this year do you need the side? Like for member guests, it's absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
It's hot.
It's for smaller corporate outings
Right.
and just 20 to 40 people. 40 is probably pushing a little bit. 20,
Loud.
30 is about right.
Yeah, acoustics are terrible.
It was a nice part to add on, but it
Yeah.
It's just
needs
not-
some
it doesn't
different
get
thoughts,
the-
I guess.
Doesn't get the use. I mean, when you have a big fundraiser that it becomes crammed in there, nobody's in there, everybody wants to be out around everything. It's nice for smaller functions. We've had a few graduations in there, but that's very minimal. It's not very user friendly for what it gets used for, I guess.
Next
Yep.
meeting.
I'm gonna say January 13th.
That's what I've got.
Did I do good? We're adjourned.
On Monday,
It is.
and make sure I put it on my calendar right.
Mine set out like 20 years when I put it in.
I was coming to Tuesday night meeting
I was
last
planning
month,
on being here
fellas,
that long.
and I didn't get the memo, but it has moved to Thursday, so that's why we're here.
That was my